welcome. Come to standing, and we're going to start with something that's very familiar as we go from side to side. So just come to swaying from side to side, and so as I've said many times before, this happens to be in Tibetan yoga, Yantra yoga, which is the medicine side of Tibetan yoga. But you'll find this particular movement in Tai Chi, elements of Qi Kung, and it's believed to move all the energy systems of our bodies. So it's a complete disease in the Eastern world is defined in some ways by stagnant or non-moving energy. So doing something like this moves all the energies, and it has the advantage that you also balance your weight very safely from side to side. So you're not going too much like a swirling dervish, so you're less likely to get dizzy. And if you want to increase the effects of this movement, you can bring your hands absolutely to your shoulders. But the movement is very much dictated by how you feel. And the other thing is that this becomes a mindfulness exercise because you are not really able to focus on a particular thought so much as your eyes are moving with your body, and that eye movement disconnects the eyes from the stress centres of the brain, which is being used in the States actively as part of post-traumatic stress training. So I find that really interesting. But start to just slow your movement down and then come to gently the centre. Come to stand with your feet hip width apart, and then we're going to gently warm up. Again, very familiar to use. You raise your hands up, reverse your palms up, press your feet down and stretch up. This becomes an extension. Breathe out, come to one side. I'm going to my left, but you come to whichever side suits you. Come to the centre, stretching up, and coming to the other side, stretching over. You can bounce in and out if that helps. Come to the centre and stretch up. Breathe out as you turn to one side. Again, I'm going to my left, whichever side suits you. Come to the centre and breathing out, turn to your other side, my right side. Come to the centre. Stretch up and just try lifting your heels. If you have to come down, then that's fine. Well done, everybody. And then just lower your heels. And lower your arms back down to your waist. Lift and roll your shoulders and place your hands on your waist. Feet are hip width apart. And then I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing. I'm bending my knees, my bottom goes away from me, my neck is long, which means that my chin tucks in. And you'll feel as you make this movement, however much you bend or little you bend, that your abdominal muscles engage, your core engages to support this movement. Press your feet down as you stretch up and come back to standing, and then release your hands. So I'm not only to ask you to do this, but the full version is stronger in that you bend your knees and it becomes a chair pose. Now that can be quite strong on your lower back. Hence the invitation always to put your hands on your waist and then come up and then lift and roll your shoulders. And raise your arms slightly above shoulder height and then lower them to shoulder height. And your arms should feel that they're floating. And then turning your head to look beyond the third fingers of one hand. Come back to the centre and turn to look beyond the third fingers of your other hand. Come back to the centre. And if anyone is concerned with their underarms, then bring your hands together, press your palms together, and you'll feel, hopefully, the muscles underneath the upper arm just engaging. So I think there is the I must increase my bust. I'm not sure that we're worried about that. It's the arm exercise that's particularly.
We do this the rest of my life.
I love it. One. So this ticks many boxes. It's viewed as prayer pose, but actually it also lengthens your body from here to here, gives space for the organs, and then just release your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders, and then slide your hands down your legs to about shin, middle shin. Press your hands in, and then have a sense of lengthening from the tailbone all the way along your back, all the way to the top of your head. It's lengthening your spine. Breathe out with your hands still where they are. Bend your knees and bend your elbows out. Inhale, straighten your legs and press your hands onto your shins to lengthen you again. Stay here as you breathe out. And then as you next breathe in, press your feet into the ground, soften your knees, and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. You can use your hands or fingers to trace along your body if you'd like. And then just lift and roll your shoulders. And then clasp your hands behind you and aim the knuckles of your hands towards the ground. And you'll find that this opens you here at the shoulder level, so your lung meridian. And then breathing out, turn to one side. I'm going to my left. Come to the centre, and then breathing out, turn to the other side, and then come to the centre. And then separate your hands, lift and roll your shoulders. And now there's an option. You can either hold your wrists or hold your elbows, or if you're able to, you can do what they call reverse prayer, which opens up along the little finger side. And it's an area that we tend to forget about, but quite hard to do. So adopt whichever pose works for you. If you are in reverse prayer, then the instruction is even harder to lift your elbows out, and that will instantly invite your hands to part. So just go to where you're comfortable. And again, breathing out, turn to one side. I'm going to my left. Come to the centre. And breathing out, turn to the other side and come to the centre. The next part is optional. You can step your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. Soften your knees. Come forward, making sure that your elbows are lifting up like wings. You can drop your head or keep your neck long in line so that you're lengthening it, and then press your feet down to roll up vertebra by vertebra. Separate your hands, lift and roll your shoulders. This opens the gateways of energy up to the head. And then breathing in, raising your hands. Stretch your fingers so your thumbs come towards you and your little fingers go away. And you're just stretching all your energy meridians, and then breathing out, lower your hands back alongside you and lift and roll your shoulders. So we're going to do a similar practice, but this just dips into Chinese medicine. So it is the last set of exercises that we did were Ayurveda, which is the medicine side of yoga. We started off with Yantra yoga, Tibetan, dipped into Ayurveda, and now it's Chinese. So lift your hands up and reverse. And this will be very similar as you go to one side. You can bounce in and out if it makes that easier. Stretch up and then to the other side, bounce in and out. So this is a lateral stretch, and it also opens, as you can see, along the intercostal muscles for the lungs. Come up and then gently turn to one side. So a rotation that we're doing now is very helpful for realigning the spine. And again, you can bounce as you come back to centre and turn in and out to the other side. Come back to the centre and then lower your hands back down. Step your feet hip width apart and come to bend your knees. You come down as little or as much as you would like. Bending your knees. Head lowers. And then begin to straighten your legs.
Your hands remain where they are. Then breathing out, turn towards your left foot so that you're stretching along the right side. Come back to the centre. Your knees are still soft. And then breathing out, turn towards the right side so that you stretch and lengthen along your left back muscles. Come to the centre, separate your hands and clasp behind your calves. You can bring your feet slightly closer together and again soften your knees and bend down as much as you need to. So it's like a squat. And then straighten your legs as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing.
So that squatting and then coming forward is quite good for the lower back and sciatic problems, if anybody has them. And this is very familiar. Just adjust your feet to being comfortable. And raising your hands, again we just touch on a Tai Chi element here. As you bend your knees and bend your, just flying, a flying aspect. So every joint is being moved here. And it's really beneficial for the entire body. Breathing in, you're stretching your lungs, your shoulder joint around the neck, your elbows, your wrists, your knees, your weight bearing as you go through your ankles into your feet. Everything gently lifts and settles. And then come to standing and bringing your hands as they fall naturally, upturn your palms just below your navel, and that's just below the hara, but as we're in China now, this is a dantian. And then lift your hands and just sweep over your head. So this very simple exercise, apart from exercising the muscles, emotionally and psychologically tunes into our electrical energy. Some people call it the aura. So it disconnects you or your energy field from the outside world. It can be quite soothing. You also slow your breathing to your movement and then just releasing. Lift and roll your shoulders and then place your hands on your waist, and this opens you up at the lungs, but it also opens under your arms, so that's the lymph system, so your energetic flow at the upper part of your body, just breathing in and breathing out. And then just release your hands back down again. Step your feet hip width apart, raise your hands, hold your thumbs, and just gently sway like a tree from side to side, swaying palm. We're dipping back into Ayurveda, and this is very much connected to something called the Vata dosha. So any wind or air in the body which is responsible for movement and Vata connects to pain. So this is one or two very good anti-pain movements. Again, you're slightly shifting your weight from side to side. And then just very gently lower your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders. And then come to sliding your hands down and come to a seated position, however you feel that's appropriate for you. So I'm going to sit with my legs out because we're going to move our feet and hands, lifting the flesh up from underneath you. Hands relax, we're in a gentle mode. If you were being very correct, you'd have your hands like this, Dandasana, but we're just relaxed. So feet up to the ceiling and then feet away and feet up and away. So this is beginning to boost your circulation. And as you boost your circulation, you automatically boost your immune system. And on a lovely day like today, it's easy to forget about your immune system. I suppose in today's times, perhaps not. But when it gets cooler and colds and bugs are around, start to circle your ankles in one direction. it becomes very important. And if you do nothing else but to move your feet, that is a very simple way to boost your immune system in the Chinese world of energy healing. And then very gently circle your feet in the other direction. And again, coordinating your movement with your breath is the preferred option. So you breathing in as your toes go up and breathing out as your toes go to the bottom of your circle, and that slows your movement down. And then just stretch all your toes out and relax and release. And again, this boosts the immune system because where the toes connect to the base of the feet connects into the lung meridian. And then just open. You can curl your toes in, but not at the expense of getting cramp. And then we're going to start the yoga practice. So come to kneeling. And we're going to be repeating this several times. If you need a blanket underneath your knees, then please do take that. So knees are hip width apart. And as you breathe in, raise your arms up, stretch your fingers. You can look straight ahead, or you can look up if this is not too much for your neck. And then breathing out, bend. And you become almost, it is a variation of child. Your elbows rest on the ground. Your hands are out in front of you. Slide your hands back to your knees as you kneel up. Stretching your hands up, stretching your fingers, and breathing out round. Chin comes to chest. Put your hands on the mat, slide them slightly to rest on your elbows. And then slide your hands towards you as you kneel up again. Stretching, looking ahead or up, breathing out. Round, hands go back onto the mat, slide them out, resting on your elbows. Slide your hands back again, raising your hands up, looking ahead or up, breathing out, rounding. Your chin coming to your chest automatically activates the vagus nerve. And this is implicated in inflammation. So it's a natural anti-inflammatory movement. Slide hands up, rounding, chin to chest. And as we come to the last time, kneeling up, stretching the fingers and rounding. Stay here rounded for a couple of breaths. Just rest on your elbows and enjoy the in and out breath. If you don't like your head hanging or dipping down, you can bring your hands together in either a fist or one hand on top of the other to rest the forehead on the back of the hands, and then you don't have to come forward as much. And then sliding your hands back. And in this system, just roll your bottom to one side. And we're going to come to lying on our backs for a few breaths. So it's either in Shavasana or corpse pose, or you can come with your knees bent. And the theory behind this is that the body, when it's being moved, benefits from total rest to let the movement absorb into the system for optimal yogic practice. So come into lying however it's comfortable for you. And if you are lying straight out, you can once more stretch your toes up to the ceiling and then point them away from you a couple of times. And then you can begin to circle your ankles a couple of times in one direction.
And then circle your ankles a couple of times in the other direction. And then leaving your elbows still on the ground, lift your hands up towards the ceiling, relax your feet, let them drop out to the side, and begin to circle your wrists very gently in one direction. Coming into the hands, the wrists, the carpal tunnel, and then very gently circle your wrists in the other direction. And then very gently rest your hands alongside you. And now just let your head gently turn to one side. Come back to the centre and let your head drift over to the other side. Come back with your head to the centre, and once more let your head go in your own breath time from one side. Come back to the centre, and then very gently let your head drift onto the other side, and then come back to the centre. Now bend your knees, placing both feet on the ground, and then carry on hugging your knees into your chest. And just gently rock from side to side. And this massages across the lower back or the upper sacral part of the body. And you can roll a little bit from side to side, or you can roll a lot from side to side, even to the point of letting your elbow just support you as you rock from side to side. And then come back to the centre. Your knees are hugged into your chest, your feet are off the ground. And breathing in, stretch your legs and your arms up above you. Your arms carry on, and the backs of your hands go towards the floor. You extend your heels, and your feet are in a slight V. Breathing out, bend your knees and hug your knees back into your chest once more. And then breathing in, soles of the feet upwards to the ceiling, and once more arms up and behind you. Your chin tucks in so that the back of the neck is long. And breathing out, hugging the knees once more back into the chest. Inhaling, feet up to the ceiling, arms behind, extending the feet. Breathing out, hugging the knees into the chest. And then once more, soles of the feet as you breathe in, and arms up behind you, extend your heels. And then breathing out, hug your knees into your chest. And then once more, soles of the feet up to the ceiling, arms back behind you, chin tucks down. And then breathing out, hugging your knees back into your chest once more. And then just again, once more, rock from side to side. Massaging across the lower back and the upper sacral area. And now hug both knees into the chest as you breathe out. Still holding the knees, let both knees travel away from you. Hugging both knees into the chest. And just let both knees travel away from you. Hugging both knees into the chest. And let both knees travel away from you. And hug both knees into the chest, and let both knees travel away. And then place the left foot on the floor, hug the right knee into the chest. Holding the right knee, just circle the right knee a couple of times in one direction. So you're mobilizing the hip joint. And then very gently circle that right knee a couple of times in the opposite direction. So this is a really, really brilliant way to keep the hips mobilized, but very safely. And then bring to hug the left knee into the chest, so both knees are into the chest. Supporting the right leg underneath the thigh to let the right foot drop back down to the ground. And then both hands hug the left knee into the chest. And once more circle the left knee in one direction. You can, as an option, use your left hand on your left knee and place your right hand on your right hip. If you prefer that, you tend to drop your knee out further and the circle tends to be wider. But it's a choice. And then circle your knee in the opposite direction. And then supporting the left leg under the left thigh, bring your left foot back down to the ground. Your feet are hip width apart, and this time your hands are palms down alongside you. Your chin, your back of your neck is long, so that your chin is not sticking up to the ceiling. And feel free to adjust at any point. So we're going to start by just doing a couple of pelvic tilts, flattening the back, mid-back along the ground as if you're going to lift your bottom up, and then just releasing and relaxing so that there's a little gap underneath the base of your spine. And then basically flattening your back as if you're going to lift up, and then just releasing. And one last time, flattening your back as if you're going to lift your bottom, and then releasing. So this time, we're going to press our feet down, actually lift the bottom as little or as much as you would like. Bend the arms at the elbows and raise the elbows and arms up above the head. The chin comes into the chest. How much you lift up is up to you. And then breathing out, lower your bottom and your back along the ground and lower your arms. And hug the knees into the chest. And then the soles of the feet go to the ceiling. You can place your hands, palms down on the floor, and then lower your feet back down to the ground to start again. As you press your feet into the ground, lift your bottom, lift your arms up above you, stretch as much as you would like to, and then breathing out, start the breath and then start the movement as you come down, lowering your back down vertebra by vertebra to the ground, lowering your arms, hug both knees into the chest, and then both soles of the feet go to the ceiling. Extend your heels and then hands, palms down on the floor. Then bend your knees, feet go back to the beginning position again, and press your feet down. So this is very strengthening for the back, but in a very safe way. As you lift up, lift your arms up above you, stretch. You can keep a bend in your elbows. Breathe, start to breathe out, and then lower your hands, and then lower all the way down, hugging your knees into your chest. And then palms on the floor as you raise your feet up to the ceiling, extend the heels. And then bend both knees into the chest, feet go down, once more to the floor. And have your feet now slightly wider than hip width apart. And your hands can either rest with the elbows out on the abdomen, or if you want to make this a slightly stronger pose, then open your arms outwards, palms up, so that under the arms there's space for under the arms. And then just gently let both knees drop to the same direction. Your hip will lift off the ground. Both knees come back upright, and then both knees drop to the other side. Both knees come to the centre. And carry on with this movement, but you can also involve your head. So as your knees drop to one side, your head moves up in the opposite direction from your knees. Head and knees come to the centre, and then both knees drop to the other side, and your head goes to the side. So you're moving your spine both at the lower part and at the upper part in a very, very safe movement. And then come back to the centre. Bring your feet to hip width apart. And now we're just going to focus on our hands. Open both palms up and almost lift your little fingers up to the ceiling. And then reverse both palms so that your palms down on the floor and securing the rotational movement of the arm and the shoulder socket with the thumb pressing down. Breathing in as you open your palms upwards again and feel that twist. Breathing out, lower your palms back down to the ground. And repeat a couple of times, breathing in and opening your palms up, and breathing out, lowering your palms down. And this rotates the upper arm and the shoulder socket in the same sort of way as we moved our hips in the hip socket. And both the hip socket and the shoulder socket are very much implicated in the aging process as the muscles slightly contract and pull in both at the shoulder and at the hip level. And then just relax, bring your arms back in. They can rest on your abdomen, your elbows can go out, or you can completely take a couple of breaths once more in the rest pose. Either way, you're relaxing and absorbing the movement that we've made into your body. And again, taking a few breaths in and out. You can stay static, enjoy the rest, or you can gently turn your head slightly from side to side as you breathe in and out. So your head will move to one side as you breathe out. It would come back to the centre as you breathe in, and then it moves to the other side as you breathe out. So again, the focus here is very much on the neck. And the neck is so key in not only linking the physical body with the head, but it's key in our emotional aspects of linking our emotional body with our what we do and what we say can be very different. And moving the neck in this way can start to unite the two energies of the body and the emotional body. And then just very gently come to the centre. And then small bend one knee in, hugging the one knee and then the other knee. So that we're coming back to hugging yet again, both knees into the chest and rocking from side to side, or slightly up and down. Or you can combine the two into circling the knees in the same direction. It's a freestyle movement there. You move exactly as you feel you'd like to. And if you're circling your knees in one direction, then you may like to circle your knees slightly in the other direction. And then once more, hug both knees into the chest. Still holding the knees as you breathe in, let the knees move away to arm's length. Hugging both knees into the chest, let the knees move away to arm's length. Hugging both knees into the chest, let the knees move away to arm's length. And again, hug the knees into the chest, let them move away, and hugging the knees in again. So this movement is a variation on an Apana Apanasana, and the Apana energy keys in once more to the Vata dosha in Ayurveda, which connects into pain. So this is very pain releasing. And then very gently let your feet come to the ground. You might like to support them under the thighs. And taking your time to come to, we're going to come eventually to a kneeling position. You can either rock up or you can let your knees drop to the side. So to the right, if you're going to do that, is away from your heart and less, more relaxing for the heart. As you press your hands down and take your time to come up, coming once more to a kneeling position. And we're going to come back to where we started by kneeling. Knees are hip width apart, hands are shoulder width apart. Slide your hands towards your knees as you kneel up. And once again, you can either look straight ahead or look up, stretching your thumbs. Breathing out, round your back, lower your arms. And then put your hands on the ground as you slide them forward to allow your elbows to come and rest on the ground. Your bottom is up. Slide your hands towards you as you kneel up. Looking ahead or up, stretch your thumbs, little fingers away from you, and then breathing out round. Again, you're activating your vagus nerve as the chin tucks in towards the chest. Sliding your hands up your legs to support you, hands up. If at any point this is too much for you to raise your hand, you can always keep your hands at your waist, resting on your waist. Sliding forward, breathing in, sliding your hands back up your legs, stretching your fingers, looking up or straight ahead. Breathing out, rounding chin to chest, sliding your hands, elbows, slide your hands back, stretch your fingers, breathing out, rounding, and stay for an in and out breath here as you round, in and out. And then slide your bottom to the side and I'm going to come to a seated position, cross-legged, Sukhasana. But if that's too much for your knees, then sit just for a few breaths with your legs however you'd like them. And I'm going to take my right hand and block my right nostril. So there are all kinds of hand positions, but I'm just going to be very simple. Breathing just in and out through the left nostril, as if only the left side exists. If your nose is blocked, then release the hold of your right thumb against your right nostril. So this is activating the yin or passive side of the body. And it's a preparation for a very well-known breath called Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. This is the preparation. And it focuses everything to the left side side of the brain, the left hemisphere, all the way along the left side. Drop your hand and just take a couple of breaths now through both nostrils. And then when you're ready, use your right hand again, the ring finger of your right hand, to block your left nostril, so that now you're breathing only through your right side. So your right side is the yang side, but also connects to the liver and the gallbladder. So classically in yoga, if we suffer irritation or anger or frustration, it's our right side, the liver and the gallbladder, that get activated. If you are wanting to go to sleep at night, then the breathing through the left nostril is calming. So if you wanted to calm down, then you would breathe just through the left nostril. And if you want to wake yourself up,
and re-energize yourself, then you would breathe only through the right nostril. And then release the right hand back onto your knee. You can do Jnana Mudra, thumb and second finger together, either down, which is gesture of knowledge, or up, which is gesture of consciousness, up to you. Take a couple of breaths through the nostrils, both nostrils, and just notice if your breath has changed. When you focus on one side or the other, and then reunite your breath together, it can give a slightly different perspective. But there's no right or wrong, just notice. And then bring your hands to your chest, take a bow for yourself, and thank you everybody very much